morning, folks. Just want to talk about the theme of towns, okay? So basically, as you know, a lot of us in this room have a passion for towns, for historic towns. So the last few years we've been working specifically with town centres, trying to regenerate town centres. So in terms of this presentation, there's three parts. I'm just going to talk about collaborative town centre health checks. Now we call it collaborative because this is a different model to what has been done in other countries. We have brought all the pillars together. We have local authorities, we have chambers of commerce, we have all the agencies working together, we have third level institutes, third level universities, and we also have the civic society, so that would be like tidy towns and things like that. So yeah, just to say, collaborative town centre health checks, they're part of the sort of wider concept of town centre management, TCM. And it would be really good if we could sort of get this movement going in Ireland, because we do really need it after the recession. So I just want to talk about a wee bit about what is TCM. And then just how you do TCM strategies, then moving on to the second part, which is what makes successful and vibrant town centres, and then summary. Okay, but first an overview of our town centres. So we all know the town centres are really, they've got lots of character, there's something unique about them, they're important because they're distinctive, they provide identity. And they're traditionally where people met, It's also where traditionally people used to shop, but that's changed so much because retail is shrinking on such a sort of, rapid trend. I was reading last night, I think it's 20 million is spent every day online for shopping in Ireland, so it's unbelievable. And then just in terms of, entertainment, courts, civic activity. But the problem is that during sort of the recession, we had a huge increase in our vacancy rates, And Miriam already said about the vacancy rates. So what we've been doing with the land use surveys that are part of the town centre health check is to try and work out what are the vacancy rates, to get that baseline. That's one of the key steps. And obviously online shopping, and then also consumer confidence. Do people actually like our town centres anymore? Do they want to go into our town centres? So we have to obviously think about sort of behavioural, trends and patterns and what's happening there. Okay, so town centre management, the key aim. So basically what it is a coordinated and a proactive approach, right, to ensure that your town and city centres, that they're attractive places, that they're desirable, that they are nice products, okay? And the initiative is a partnership. Fundamentally, it's about partnership and collaboration. So why is TCM important? Okay, just a few bullet points just to run through, what is the sort of, why are we doing this? So it's really just to try and sort of enables towns to fulfil their socio-economic tourism potential. It's also about the concept of place marketing, okay? So, it's place making and then place marketing. So there's really not much point marketing a town until you get the product right, and you have to sort of analyse what you're doing, you have to get your baselines done, you have to decide what you want to do. But it's really, really important not to spend time marketing until you get the product right. And that also means talking to people and talking to tourists and seeing what do they actually need as well. Alright, so it helps to transform places, again, place making. It also promotes good health and well-being because, if we do have vacant property in town centres, does that actually impact on our psychological well-being? Does it impact on our sense of place? We've also, we're hoping now to get a health expert into the team. Okay, so we'll start to look at the health benefits of having regenerated town centres. So hopefully in the next few months that will happen with the team. Encourages both daytime and evening economy. So basically, as I said, retail is shrinking, so our towns are changing. And Miriam's already said about the importance about getting residential, housing back into our towns in terms of infill or possibly living above the shop. But also the evening economy is really important. So restaurants, people are going out to eat more, cafes, and I mean quality cafes. So yeah, just to think about, your sort of evening economy, that needs to be analysed as well. So it's the whole sort of use of your town throughout the day and the evening. So then you're looking to sort of enhance sense of civic pride and sense of place. Sense of place to me is just really exciting. I have to be totally honest, I'm such a nerd of a planner. It's the kind of thing that, I sort of like to think about, how do you improve this place? You want to take the pulse of the place when you go into it, right? And you want to understand what is working and what is not working and why is it not working. And then the 3 V's that we talk about, vitality, viability and vibrancy of a town centre. Okay, so what are the benefits, right? So this is actually proven, other countries have been doing this kind of concept and doing town centre management for 20 years or more. So we know that this works. So what you're talking about is footfall. Everything is about footfall, and that sort of obviously impacts on your vibrancy as well. And then you have a longer stay by shoppers, visitors, increased rents and property values, you have increased street activity. It's all about making people feel that they're sort of part of something. And as you know, the whole thing is moved towards experience, right? So that's one thing that online shopping can't give. So that's where the town centres have to sort of, ramp up. And then reduction in crime, accidents and things. So like if you have a better public realm, you're less likely to have traffic accidents because the traffic is going at a lot slower pace, or maybe it's not even there at all because you've taken it out. So then decreased noise and air pollution. Again, air pollution is one of the key things. You're talking about environmental quality. Better health, healthier places, public spaces. So when we talk about town centre health checks, we're not talking about the health of the population yet. We're talking about the health of the town centre. Because somebody actually asked me, was it about the population that we were checking the health? But I just want to make sure, you know, obviously they're linked, as I'm trying to sort of say here today. But no, we have to start with this first. And then critically, you have the multiplier effect. So if you start to do these initiatives, we find this in Tralee very much, and obviously Listowel, it's great to have you here today as well. You know, this process leads to so much because what you're creating are networks and partnerships, and you're looking with your information to see what actually do you need to target. So it really does help. Okay, so 3-step process in terms of town centre management. So I tried to make this as sort of as straightforward as possible. Where is our town centre now? You know, taking stock, find out all the information about your town. Okay, as I say, taking the pulse. And one of the things is the 15 steps in the collaborative town centre health check. Has everybody got the handout that I put on the chairs for Ballina? We had a workshop a few weeks ago. If you wouldn't mind, just turn to page 23. I just want to run through this with people. So the document looks like that. It's got like a yellow front. So we had 2 workshops last year, one for border towns, and then in November we had one at Ballina. Just to thank Deirdre Cunningham here, my colleague from Mayo County Council, for all her help organising that. So yeah, page 23 sets out the 15 steps. So the first critical thing is to confirm your study boundary. Okay. So basically what you do, the partnership that we're talking about, the 4 pillars, the local authorities, the universities, the ITs, the Chamber of Commerce, really, really important to have the private sector on board. Okay, so that's the first thing. You must get your study area agreed by everybody, okay? It's really important not to proceed until that's agreed. And that can take a wee bit of time. We're actually doing that in Sligo at the minute. So we're working with Sligo IT, Sligo BID, and Sligo County Council. So we're in the process of setting that up. And as I say, we're taking a wee bit of time to work out the study boundary. Then the second thing is the land use survey. Okay, and I'll go on to that in a wee sec. So the land use survey is really the critical thing that you do in a collaborative town centre health check. If you can do one step at all, just do the land use survey, okay, because that will give you your vacancy rates, and you do your vacancy rates for each use, okay. Try not to do the general one, try to do the retail, try to do the residential. Miriam's already talked about vacancy rates. So in terms of retail, you really, really do not want anything over 40%. Okay, that is a scary number to get to. Ideally, in a non-recessionary sort of context or whatever, it should be around 5%. Now, myself and Tara Buckley were in Brussels a few weeks ago, and we were listening to the Danish who were talking about bringing their vacancy rates down from 12 to 5%. Now, quite a lot of the towns that we have worked with in the pilot are over 20%. So, you know, we really do need to work together to get this fixed, to fix our towns. Yeah, so it's just all about analysis and also character areas. You know, look at what your anchors are, where are they located, what is the sort of, you know, what's the kind of urban form and fabric of your town. Footfall, lovely survey, one of the nicest surveys you can do. Now, as I say, in other countries they've been doing this for about 20 years, they have like Wi-Fi, they've it all done with lasers, Because we didn't have that in Ireland, we don't have a lot of boxes, counter boxes, we were actually out counting people as if they were going to a GA match, right? But it is actually good fun because you can observe the street, which you can't get when you just get the stats, the raw stats. So I think that's really useful, and again, I always say to people, you know, it's enjoyable to do. So you can, you know, if you've got the university students, you can get them out around the town and they're all doing the counters at the same time. Okay, so you're getting patterns and trends. And then over the page 24, business commercial surveys. This is where the chambers of commerce come in. So, you know, make sure that you utilise all the assets that you have and all the resources. Get the chambers of commerce to do the surveys. We have templates for all these questionnaires, right, that we've been working on for the last 2 years. Consumer surveys there, step 5. This is potentially, I would say to you, the hardest thing to do in the 15 steps, all right? So do not start a consumer survey unless you have a team behind you. Basically, for the last few weeks, we have been working with Red Sea to fill in some gaps in Monaghan, Dundalk and Ballina. So those Red Sea reports are going to be ready by the end of January, and we're just finishing them off in terms of doing the graphics at the minute. So really, really revealing, and we also have some questions in about Brexit, so that's going to be really good. Rental survey, really important to know what are your rental levels, are they going up, are they going down, you know, what's your sort of patterns, as I say, it's all about patterns and trends. And then another one, which is step 7, is the ownership map, and it's quite hard to get, but Again, you know, it's really, really important that you start to find out who are the sort of stakeholders in your town. Some towns we've found as well that maybe, you know, 2 or 3 families have all the property. So again, it's just trying to find out how are you going to work this through, you know, what do you need to do. Vehicle count, car parking, accessibility audit, really important. Number 11 there, desire lines. Again, I think that these are really important because you will find if you stand and watch the street that people cross quite a lot of the time not on the pedestrian crossing or the traffic lights because that's the natural desire line. So we need to work with the local authority engineers to make sure that we are, you know, pitching our towns at the right level and that what people actually want is provided. Okay, so that's town centre management. Environmental quality, obviously we're talking about rivers, canals, if there's any river through the town, you know, air quality, things like that. Crime figures, it's good to see the crime figures come through because obviously during the recession the crime figures tended to go up. So, you know, again, it's just trying to, if you've got the baseline done, then from years from now, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, you can see, are you helping? You know, what needs to be looked at? Where do the resources need to go? And then just do a report if you can. So we've got a few reports that have come out. We've got Tralee, we've got Letterkenny. Tralee won the Most Enterprise in Town Award last year, 2017. Letterkenny came out last year, they won the award last year. We've got Listowel, published in November, was it?
That's right.
Yeah, launched in November, fabulous.
This time.
Yeah. No mean feat. Okay, folks, and then as I say, we've got Cashel coming out for print and Dundalk, Monaghan, Ballina. So I think we have a total of 11 at the minute. All right, so moving on, where do you want your town centre to be? Okay, so you need to sort of start this consultation, this participation. You know, what do you want your town to be? It's really, really important that you go for the blue sky, all right? And you think about your town in 10 years, 20 years, because towns are changing so quickly. And I don't think we expected this change to be so quickly and also to be sort of, you know, such a massive shift. So if you think of all the people that now live sort of, you know, outside of our town centres, you know, how do we get people to go back in? I actually think it's starting to change. I heard recently that Abbey Lakes, Catherine, is this right? That there's quite a few properties in Abbey Lakes town centre have been bought for doing up and things like that. Also, younger people don't want to live in the outskirts. They don't want to live in the countryside. They want to be in the thick of things, and they don't want to have a car. So we find this out as well with our sort of research with millennials. You know, things, trends. Just think about trends and patterns. All right, how do you get there? All right, so number 3. So develop plans, develop strategies. You know, think about your delivery vehicle. It's really, really important that you have a delivery vehicle. Okay, so this is Letterkenny, the land use survey that Queen's University did for us, which is really good. I think it's kind of interesting, Miriam, when you picked up and you were talking about this too. So we sort of have the old town and we have the new town, right? So red is retail, and we're finding this with a lot of the towns in Ireland, that we sort of have this planning decisions that are impacting on the old towns. So, you know, should we have a programme for old towns, new towns? I've actually just had an email this morning about how do you get retail parks to come into the chamber? How are we going to work through that in certain towns in Ireland? So that's one of the things that one chamber in Ireland has been on the phone this morning about. So, you know, you can see the lovely traditional form and fabric of Letterkenny as it goes up the hill. I don't know if everybody's familiar with Letterkenny. And then this land down here with the boxes, that's sort of, you know, TK Maxx, Duns and things. So yeah, I think really we need to improve our sort of awareness of what is good. You said it, Miriam, what is good design, what is good planning. And really it's about people and how are we actually going to live, you know, in the next 20 years, 30 years. What are we actually going to do? All right, so I'm going to try and fly through these slides here. What makes successful and vibrant town centres? Okay, this is a summary of a document that came from the UK quite a few years ago. I'll try and dig it out for you. So you need a unique sense of place, and it's all about heritage. You know, it's all about character, it's all about culture. Really, really important. Attractive public realm. So we also have another programme, public realm plan programme, which we set up in 2006. So that's another planning programme that we run, and it's absolutely, I have to say now, I came from the private sector to the Heritage Council, and that's what I used to specialise in, was regeneration of public realm plans. They are the loveliest project that you can do, as well as the collaborative town centre health check. So if you can get a collaborative town centre health check done, then usually the next step that we sort of encourage people to do is go into the public realm plan process as well. All right, because you're hitting the ground running, you've got the group together, you've got the delivery vehicle together, and you should be getting into your stride at that stage. All right, planning for success, accessibility, permeability. Permeability is a sort of fancy word for movement, so we'll stick with movement. Safety and security, supportive regulatory, and fiscal regimes. All right, so sense of place. So well-loved town centres have a unique character. If you think about a town centre, you know, what I love doing in terms of my job or whatever is going into a town centre and sort of finding out what's the uniqueness of it, what's the sort of quirky things that really work. I mean, in Tralee we were all struck, I think anybody who came down to Tralee, was this beautiful street called Denny Street. So it's that kind of thing, you know, what are the spaces, what are the streets that people fall in love with and feel a sense of civic pride in it. So what you're talking about is maximising your uniqueness. Okay, it's, you know, turning up the volume. That's kind of what we talk about with town centres. We want to ensure that there's appropriate retail land use mix. So the land use is really, as I say, you need to get that baseline. Okay, I'm going to fly here. Commercial retail offers should match the public perception. So a lot of it actually is about perception. Okay, what do people think of your town centre? Attractive public realm, so you need to work on this, you know. A town centre, you need to think of it like a shopping centre. It has to be managed, it has to be looked at, it has to be upgraded every few years. That's exactly what they do with shopping centres. So you need to have social spaces, you need to have distinctive places, signage, you need to have good quality paving, and everything that is done should really focus on local materials. Okay, so you should have a design palette, Maureen, I'm sure you'd love that. Yeah, that sort of, you know, you need to be looking at your local, you know, stone, your local, whatever is in the area, right? Okay, signage. This is again one of the things that I love. All right, so you've got 5 layers of signage, right? Gateway, traffic, orientation, pedestrian, interpretive, to whet the appetite. So let me see these lovely photographs. Right, so the one on the left is absolutely beautiful. I used to call this the good, the bad, and the ugly, but I had to change it obviously because I couldn't put in the really bad photographs. And then Marie Mannion, quite a few years ago, took this photograph in Athenry, which I love because it's just literally shows you everything. There's this poor man looking, says no entry on the road, there's no parking, no thoroughfare, no whatever. So the strangers, you know, like maybe Athenry people or whatever are used to it, but if you've got a stranger or a visitor or a tourist or whatever, you know, that photograph kind of says quite a lot in terms of accessibility, in terms of welcoming somebody. Okay, planning for success. So you're talking about a shared vision, right? Planning really is about people and it's about collaboration. So you're talking about town centres are cultural assets, and as I say, they need to be managed just like shopping centres. So try and do collaborative town centre health checks. You know, they really should be part of the LEPs. We actually, when we met with the department to set this up, we tried to pick towns that had LEPs, local area plan reviews, okay, so it was really relevant. And then guidelines, I mean, you know, planning guidelines should try and enhance town centres. A lot of countries, such as Scotland, has got town centre first. They've got the Scottish Towns Partnership. You know, everything is about looking at your town centre first and trying not to do development that is out of town. And then you have to have your data and you have to have your statistics. You cannot plan a town centre really and truly without that information. Accessibility, so you're trying to attract footfall. Parking and transport, again, must be managed together. That's part of the land use. Innovative park and ride schemes. Car parking is vital. In Germany, they have family car parks. Also in Germany, they have multi-storey. There's like pink car parks that are near the lift and they're women only, you know, to make sure that people feel safe, that they don't have to walk too far if they've got kids. You know, just a bit of thought and a bit of consideration really for people that are using your town centres in a really creative and innovative way. Right, safety and security. You know, users will not be attracted to your high street and your town centre if they feel unsafe. So it's really, really important that you have sort of zero tolerance. That somebody is maintaining the lights, somebody is maintaining the bins, somebody is looking after the litter. And again, that's where the collaboration and the partnership is really, really important. You know, you really want to have zero tolerance. Car parks must be safe. Again, that's sort of, you know, accessibility. It's also about lighting. Nighttime economy, again, visible policing. You've got your crime stats, you've got your Garda on your team. You're starting to find out where your hotspots. You know, is it a park that's in your town centre? Is it something else? You know, work on that with your partners. And also crime tends to go up during the recession. So in terms of fiscal regimes and regulation, so basically, you know, these are some of the things that obviously the government is keen to work on. So, you know, how do we incentivise people to come back to our town centres? What do we need to do? You know, there are quite a few things. Repair and lease, I mean, there's lots more programmes, I think, that, again, collaboratively, that we can set up in this country, such as, I say, the stuff that's in Scotland with the Towns Partnership. Local authorities as landlords, that needs to be looked at as well. You know, how can we sort of promote the collaboration within the local authorities? EU research is that small businesses tend to get more impacted by regulatory burdens. And also just in terms of energy conservation, you know, how do we sort of try and upgrade our historic streets, right? Personally, I don't think it's about doing building by building because that's going to take us too long. I think it needs to be a street-wide intervention. Okay, so that's one of the projects that came out of the Tralee Collaborative Town Centre Health Check, was that we started working in Denny Street on a building and energy conservation project with, Victoria McCarthy is leading on that. So there's quite a few reports. We did workshops, Victoria organised workshops with the owners and the tenants to find out what are the blockages for these people to do up their buildings. So really, really important that we, as I say, just keep that participation going. All right, so just to say the summary again, where is your town centre now? What do you want it to be? And how do you get there? So further information on town centre management, collaborative town centre health checks. I have lots of reports in terms of the towns that we've already done. We're trying to make sure that everything is written up as we go along. So the Ballina workshop is written up. We also had a Border Towns workshop last June in Monaghan. So I mean, there's a lot of activity going on around the country. As I say, we just set up a project in Sligo. We've also got one with Queens in Bundoran, Donegal Town, Ballyshannon. We're hoping to set up one in Castlebar. So we really, obviously we need more funding. But the feedback from the people who have participated is that it's great for process, it's great for networks, and really it has been a wonderful programme to work on, so I'd like to thank everybody who's been involved in it. So thank you very much.